And welcome once again to United in Liberty Radio. Dustin, the child of the Founding Fathers, Harris, hanging out with you solo tonight. Usually I have my partner, Joe, the undocumented capitalist Olivas, but he has decided to fink out on us this evening, which is all right. He's enjoying his summer. In fact, I'm enjoying mine as well. As a matter of fact, I am seated here in the infamous and secret location in my fishing clothes. I've got fish guts all over my pants right now, but we'll just leave that to your imagination and just welcome you out to United in Liberty Radio once again. I've often thought what it might feel like to do this show solo, and tonight I'm going to get the opportunity to do so. I do believe that Joe is doing a little traveling tonight and couldn't join us, but we hope he is having a good time. But 60 full minutes of talking to myself, yeah, I actually think I can do that. So sit back. We've got a fun ride. There's actually a lot going on in the news this week. And there's a lot of interesting things going on, especially as it relates to the principles of liberty, specifically the 12 principles of liberty, as we talk about on the radio show on a weekly basis. And a couple things that I want to bring out. Some things are first and foremost in the news. You're seeing them on the cable news. You're seeing them in the newspapers and on the internet. There's a couple things that are a little bit less likely to hit the headlines that you might see on a daily basis that I think are important, at least to our liberties and our freedoms and those things which matter most to us. And we're going to hit on those this evening as well. So sit back and enjoy the ride. I want to start first in Missouri. Something interesting happened on Tuesday in Missouri this week that a lot of people, I think, kind of glossed over. Sure, it hit the headlines, and I think specifically on Wednesday it hit the headlines a little bit. But how it reflects the principles of liberty is how I want to focus on this particular story, of course. The headline from Fox News, this is dated August 4th, 2010, and the headline states, Missouri votes to block Obamacare health insurance mandate. Now, that may not be news. As you know, there's been several other states. In fact, Idaho, I believe, was the first state to actually pass a law that basically said that Obamacare was not constitutional and that we would not follow it as a state. And there were several other states to follow. But the interesting thing about this is the way in which it was passed. And the article reads this. Missouri voters on Tuesday overwhelmingly rejected a key provision of President Barack Obama's health care law, sending a clear message of discontent to Washington and Democrats less than 100 days before the midterm elections. Okay, so far, so good. Listen to this statistic. About 71% of Missouri voters backed a ballot measure, Proposition C, that would prohibit the government from requiring people to have health insurance or from penalizing them for not having it. Okay, so obviously when they say a provision in Obamacare, they're talking about Obamacare. I mean, that really is the heart and the soul of Obamacare, requiring everyone, of course, to mandate to have health care. But the interesting thing is this, couple things. Number one, 71% of Missouri voters backed the ballot measure. Folks, that is huge. I mean, that is big, big, big. When you're talking the world of politics, anytime you can get 71% of the voters behind you, you are performing a miracle, honestly. I mean, usually when you pay attention to politics like I do, you will see that most things pass just marginally. I mean, we're talking, typically it's not even a large majority, if a majority at all. A lot of times things pass with 47, 48% of the vote. Why? Because what happens is that's usually split between the other side and, quote unquote, I don't know. A lot of people won't vote. A lot of people will vote on the third measure that's on the vote, or they'll write in, if you will, a candidate. And so for a group of people to 71% pass this is huge. Now, here's the interesting thing, and the reason I bring this up and why this is different, of course, than other laws that have passed in other states. The reason this is so important, folks, is that this was a proposition on the ballot. This was a referendum on Obamacare. This is the first time in American history that a state has voted against Obamacare, and the vote actually went to the people themselves. In other words, mom and pop went to the voting booth, and they walked in the voting booth, and they voted for Obamacare or against Obamacare, and 71% said no way. The article goes on to say, Tuesday's vote was seen largely as symbolic because federal law generally trumps state law. Now, that is true, but I'm not sure that it's so much symbolic, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But it was also seen as a sign of a growing voter disillusionment with federal policies and a show of strength by conservatives and the Tea Party movement. Missouri's ballot also featured primaries for U.S. Senate, Congress, and numerous state legislative seats. But at many polling places, listen to this, voters said that they were most passionate about the health insurance referendum. In other words, that's why they went out to vote, folks. They were out to voice their opinion about Obamacare. There was no two ways about it. Now, the article goes on to kind of downplay this a little bit, and I think I'm going to take some exception. Yeah, I know it's Fox News, but I'm going to take some exception with what's written here. This is what it says. The healthcare referendum was helped by a high Republican turnout. In Missouri's open primaries, voters do not have to register their party affiliation, but far more people picked Republican ballots than Democrat ones on Tuesday. Oh, I see, so that explains it. There was just more Republicans out there, and naturally, 71% of the vote is going to go. Now, here's the interesting thing, folks. They didn't say anything in the article itself about 71% of the voters were Republican. And here's the point I want to make. Who cares? If 71% of the voters were Republican, let's say it was a straight ticket, and I know it wasn't, but let's hypothetically say it was. If this was a straight ticket, if they were voting along party lines, in other words, every Democrat that went to the voter place and every Republican that went to the voter place voted either Democrat voted against and Republican voted for this referendum, this proposition, I still don't see the point. Who cares? Because, and here's my point. If everybody that went to the polling place was Republican, doesn't that tell you a little something about those that care this year? I mean, it's 2010. We're almost to November. We're getting there. I know it seems like a long way off, folks, but it is coming. I promise you, it is coming. And if that many people cared enough, Republicans specifically cared enough to go to the ballot box, don't you think that tells you a little something about what's going on with Obamacare? I do believe, I'm going to make this prediction. I know others have done so, and I'm going to jump on the bandwagon here, but I'm going to make the prediction that this coming November will be a referendum on Obamacare. And those individuals that go to the voting booth will have that on their brain. And then you say, well, Dustin, wait a second. The proposition was in Missouri, and there's no proposition on the ballot in Utah or California or you name the state that you might live in. And I don't know about Utah or California. I'm just throwing out states. Here's the point. It doesn't matter. What matters is there are individuals both on the Senate side and on the House side who voted for Obamacare. Now, they did it several months ago, and most politicians will say, hey, time is our friend, and we're going to vote, and we're going to vote the way we think that we ought to vote to support the party or to support the kickback that they're giving me or whatever the case may be. But I'm telling you, folks, this year, things are different. This year, I do believe that the voters will go to the voting booth and they will vote their mind and they will remember the health care vote. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Let me finish the article off. It says Republican lawmakers originally wanted to place the